gonna talk about the head position. So let's see this. Look, I think when you roll, as much as possible, you should be using your forehead instead of the side of your head. So the first example I give Marcus, stand up please, is for example when we're giving pressure, right? And let's say I'm gonna do something very stupid, obvious. Let's say I start, let's say I start shooting with my head bent. Right? All Marcus has to do is lean a bit forward or push, and I go right down. Right? Like usually I can move the direction of my spine. So if I put my forehead, see, and if I keep my spine straight and I put my forehead, see now I push my head up, please, Marcus. Now it's going to be harder at least, see, and I can start forward pressure on my forehead. Now if I put my ear sideways and I start pushing forward, and Marcus push forward, like inevitably I have to turn as well. This is very clear. Now, less clear example, this is for example when I'm on the floor, and can you please Marcus, or stay there for a second. I talk a lot about the baby bridge here, that's the first part, and the second part is when you turn in. And because a lot of difference when I put my ear on the floor compared to when I put my forehead on the floor. Now look, when I'm here, if I put my forehead, see, I'm free to move, I can use my arms, I can actually use my head as a third post, like a third arm actually. Whereas if I put my ear, then my arm is more stuck. Now the reason is actually this. Look, also if you put your forehead on the floor like this, see, and I go up with my butt, see, I can twist my hips on both sides. Now when you want to do which, I will talk about that later. But for now, you just know if you put your head in the middle, you have the freedom to move and choose your hip on both sides. Whereas if I put one ear on the mat, see, right now it's very easy for me to turn my right hip in if I wanted to, but turning my left hip in like this gets very hard. And this is still okay. You can occasionally do this. But if I would put my head in the opposite way, then I start rolling. Now I can roll this way, but I would not be able to roll my other hip in because I get crushed. And especially this one is very dangerous because if people force you in the wrong direction, then it might injure your neck. Let me give you an example about it again. Marcus, put your knees please and go to a close guard. Look at the difference between this. Lean forward. Let's say I'm going to go to plata or rubber guard or whatever, and I'm here. See, I always have to be as much on top of my partner as possible, and this is related to the head as well. Look, let's say, sorry Marcus, when I'm here, Marcus, go up by going up and circling this way, please. Go up and circle, and Marcus will easily get out of my attack. Go back, please. Now, look what happens now. If I already start turning in a little bit like this, see, putting my elbow through here, see, but I still keep my head up. I'm going to keep more pressure. Marcus, do the same thing, please. It will be a little bit harder, but still, he gets out. Now look at this. I have to be small, and now I put my forehead on the floor. And actually, see, right now Marcus get up on this point. See, now I have way more connection. Can Marcus get up? Yeah, he can definitely get up. Get up, Marcus, please. But this gives me a lot of time to react with different things. Now why is this? Look, the more of myself that is on the floor, the less of me is on Marcus. This makes sense, right? The more of my weight that's on the floor, the less of my weight is on you. Makes sense, no? See, it makes sense. So if I put your head on the floor, see, and I put pressure here, see? So go up, Marcus, see? By really putting pressure on my head here, pushing there, the rest of my weight goes more on my partner. I hope that makes sense. So let's say I would be here, for example, here high. Now go up, Marcus. Still possible. Go back. Should I turn my hip in as well here? See? No. See, now it gets super hard for him to go on top. But it all starts with the head. So here he would still be able to escape, but the more I go over him, see, the better it is. And it's all related to the hip. If I put my head like this, see, it's almost impossible to turn my hip in this side. If I put my forehead, see, now it's possible to turn my hip all the way. In theory, here I would be way better to put my head there to run through, but the moment I put my head all the way through, then I cannot turn this side anymore. So should Marcus raise himself up right now, this should get very dangerous for my neck. So I always say, put your head in the middle. Look again, let's say turtle, another example for turtle. Go in the middle, please. No, let me go in the middle. So I go here, I put my forehead on the floor. Marcus, put pressure, please. See? No, like just push on me, push pressure on my shoulders, in front of me. So you're here, and just say yeah, okay? So if I'm here, see now, I can put active pressure from here, even from a bad spot. Also practice pre-metal balance markers. It's quite hard. Look, I want to put my ear on the floor, push me now. Now it gets super easy all of a sudden to push me over. And I can keep talking about that. Look, another example is this here. Like also how head relates to the hip. You know, in the middle, see, I look away, I can turn my hip in this way, see? I look to the other side, I can turn my hip in that way. If I start turning my head this way, I cannot turn in that side anymore. So usually we're in the middle, and once you decide to turn your hip, then you can decide to look away. Okay? So, one last example, if it passes my guard on side control, here I put my head on the floor, flip me over please. Like lift it off, lift my shoulder please. Lift it up. This is hard. If I put my head up, this gets way easier for him. So, long story short, forehead on the floor on your partner. Well, another one, lay down. I can keep finding them out actually, lay down. Over under. If I put my head sideways, push my head away. If I push my head, yes, it goes pushing this way. If I put my head here, pushing the other way, yeah. If I put myself in the middle, see? Now I can put my weight actually on top of my forehead, push me away now. Now my forehead, push my head away. See, and I can actually steer using my hip. And I talk more about that in the mirroring principle in the DVD. But that's it. So thank you, Marcus. Yeah. That's it.